Hey, what's up everyone? Tedrick85 here, and today I'm going to be talking about Nick Soccer Stars, which is a flash game that you can find on nick.com. Now, normally when I do game reviews of any kind, I usually have some kind of notes or scripts that I follow in order to talk about that. But I figured I'd try something different with this and just pretty much give my thoughts on this game, pretty much impromptu and as far as this game, I actually find it kind of appealing I actually quite like this game. As a matter of fact, while I'm in the middle of doing the playthroughs, whether it be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or my Mega Man walkthroughs I find myself playing this game quite a bit. And before I continue with this review, I should say that I'm going to have screenshots of this game throughout the review instead of actual footage because, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to post any actual footage of this game on YouTube and I figured that since Nick has some pretty weird policies and so does YouTube, I figured I might as well be safe than sorry than posting actual footage and get my video flagged on this. So you're just going to mainly show screenshots, even though I really want to show footage. But I really want to be on the safe side of this and not get into trouble with either Nick or YouTube about this. First, I want to talk about the graphics of the game, which, if you see from this title screen here, that's pretty much what you see throughout the entire game, and I actually like how the characters are drawn on here. I especially like how Korra and Asami look, and how the Ninja Turtles look, and even how, even SpongeBob and Sanjay and Craig and all that look. So, the game designers really did a good job making this game look as appealing as they could, especially with the younger kids that may like soccer, even like any games on nick.com and So I do have to give them kudos for that. The controls in this game are real simple too, which, even if you don't know the controls, whenever you start a game, it gives you a tutorial on what exactly the controls are. Mainly, the arrow buttons are, of course, moving whatever character you are. Space button is to shoot. The up button is to jump, and X button is a special shot or power, depending on what character you're playing as. As far as the gameplay which kind of goes along with the controls a little bit, this game puts me in mind of an awful lot of a Flash game called Soccer Physics, which I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with it or not, but the big difference between this game and Soccer Physics is that you have a lot more control over your character instead of just passively hoping that the ball goes in the net. Whereas you can actually move your characters left and right and actually have them jump and shoot the ball, as well as using their special attacks on them. So right away, I feel this game is a much better and much more fun Flash game than Soccer Physics. To talk a little bit more about gameplay, there's two main game modes that you can select from: Tournament and Random Matchup. I haven't tried Tournament out yet, but I assume it's a one-and-done tournament that you'll play, which is just like any other tournament that you play. And of course, Random Matchup, which is more or less like an exhibition match, and you pretty much have to choose your character and wait to see who you're going to be matched up with, and whether it be against SpongeBob or Ninja Turtles or whoever else that you didn't pick that you want to play as. After you choose which game mode you want, you also get to select the match style: 1 versus 1, 1 versus 2, or 2 versus 2. I like to choose 2 versus 2 because, I gotta be honest, I like playing as Korra Asami, and that gives me the option to have both of them out in the same time with a 2 versus 2. You could also play 1 versus 1, which is one that I played sometimes, though I don't think it's quite as fun as the 2 versus 2. And the 1 versus 2 I think is the most difficult because it's just you against 2 other opponents, which means not only do you have to play offense but defense too, which can be quite nerve-wracking depending on who you're playing against. After that, you get to pick your characters. Now, my personal favorite character in this is Asami. And the reason why is because of her special attack, which is the Bolt Blast, which she is able to shoot an unblockable ball. But having said that, she's not the only character that can do this in the game, which I didn't catch to see who others are able to do this ability, but I personally like picking Asami because no matter what, if you pick Asami, you always get paired up with Korra, and it's likewise with Korra. If you pick her, you're always going to get teamed up against Asami, and I absolutely love that, so that's why I personally like to pick Asami. And also on the character select screen, you also see that some of the characters are already available and some aren't. And for those that aren't available, you have to play a certain character eight times in order to unlock a locked character. For instance, if you're playing as Sanjay, you have to play him 8 straight games in order to unlock Craig. And if you play SpongeBob 8 games in a row, you can unlock Patrick, and so on and so forth. And that's with all of them. You have to play, if you play certain characters 8 times, then you'll be able to unlock them. And there's 14 characters in all, and each one has special abilities, though each one is not unique, which I do kind of have to criticize that aspect of it. But depending on who you're paired up against, you can actually make quite a good team. And not to sound too biased or anything, but I do feel that Korra and Asami are the best team on here, because not only do you get Asami's unblockable shot, but you get Korra's special attack too, which is the Avatar state, which she stuns nearby opponents, which allows the other player that much more of an opportunity to get the ball in the net. Like I mentioned before, you get a tutorial right before you start an actual game of how the controls work. And after the tutorial, you actually get to start the match. Now, depending on what mode you play as in that, every so often, not only do you get to play with a regular soccer ball, but you also get to play with something called a troll ball, a kitty ball, a slime ball, and my personal favorite, the disco ball. Which, even if you get the disco ball, not only does it glow when you shoot, but it also has its own music too, which I think is pretty cool. And speaking of the music, there's really only 2 main tunes in this game. One tune for all the stuff on the menu screen when you pick your characters and that, and the other one for the actual game. And I find the music kind of appealing in that. I know some people may not like it, but I personally like how it sounds in that whenever you play in that, and I think it's quite cool in that. And yeah, you could argue that the music could be better, but after all, this is a Flash game in that, so I'm not really going to be picky about that. So, but besides the music in that and the rest of the gameplay, the object of each game is to score 5 goals before your opponent does. And depending on how well you do on here, you can actually get it where you can actually score all 5 goals right off the bat. Which, if you're used to a certain character, you can get used to how they shoot and how they defend in that. But I know when I first started playing this, I would play each game. I wouldn't be able to play a game without giving up at least a goal or 2. But now I can get shutouts pretty regularly in that, just simply because of how I get the feel of each of the opponents. And speaking of which, even though all the characters are basically the same, well, in terms of not having that special power that I talked about before, I've noticed that some are harder than others. As far as teams go, I think the hardest teams to play against is Sanjay and Craig. They seem to be real tricky, especially when you're playing against the Snake, and I think Sanjay complements him well. And as far as the toughest individual to play in the game, I have to say it's Raphael, because he's kind of similar to Korra in that his special attack is stunning nearby opponents there. Not to mention he goes maniacal when he goes in front of the goal and that, so hopefully keep your fingers crossed you don't have to play against Raphael, but in case you do have to play accordingly. Oh, and I almost forgot to talk about the backgrounds of while you play the game too. I've noticed that most of the backgrounds are modeled after SpongeBob and Sanjay and Craig. And as a Legend of Korra fan, I am kind of disappointed that there's none that's based on Legend of Korra. I would have loved to have seen a setting based on like Republic City or even Air Temple Island. But having said that, the backgrounds, the game designers did a really good job with them and that, and they look like the same style as the characters in that, so I'm not going to complain too much about that, even though I wish there would be more Legend of Korra stuff. But, and another thing I forgot to mention too is that there's actual codes for this game too, which, I gotta be honest, I don't know what kind of codes there are. As a matter of fact, I really didn't see the need to use any codes, because this game's pretty easy as it is, so I didn't even bother looking at them. But if you absolutely need to find out what they are and that, I'm sure you can Google them or something like that, but I, for one, personally find this game kind of easy, so if you want to use codes and that or whatever, that's fine, but if you do, that's okay too. But as far as me, I think this is one of the few games that I'm not even going to bother tampering with using any kind of code in order to beat it. After each game, you're treated to a victory screen, which... I'm sorry, the look on Mav's face is awesome. But yeah, depending on who you beat, they have certain expressions on their face. You see April right there, sad. Like, if you beat Leonardo, he just puts his head down in dishonor. SpongeBob gets this real sad look on his face. And even Korra and Asami have different faces too, which I think theirs is the most unique. Whereas Korra, when she loses, she kind of gives that face that she gave Chief Beifong in Book 1, Chapter 2, whenever she was being interrogated in the Republic City police station, and Asami just looks at you like, are you kidding me? You just lost to them. But yeah, like I said before, I have to give the game designers credit for making this look as appealing of a game as possible in that, and despite, even if you win or lose in this game, it is quite a fun game to play, and a game that I think that kids and adults alike will enjoy. Oh no, I think this is a pretty solid Flash game. Yeah, it could be better than that, but I think this game has what really matters most in it. It's a very fun game to play, and I also find it personally addicting to play too. Which I can't play just 1 or 2 games. I have to play like a series of like at least 8 to 10 games. But yeah, this is I think Nick.com did a really good job with this game, and I know there's a basketball game out that's on too, which I haven't played, but if it's as fun as this one, I'm definitely gonna play that one too. So, if you get a chance to play this game, I'd highly advise it in that. Which, like I said earlier, this game is for kids, but for all the parents out there that are worried in that, this is absolutely a game that for all age levels in that they could enjoy. In that, who knows? Maybe grown-ups like me will enjoy this game as much as I have too. So. If you get a chance, give this game a shot. Who knows, you might get as addicted to it as what I have. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this review, so thank you for watching this, and I will see you guys again next time.